The film opens with a story called The Death of RMF. A man with the initials RMF enters the building, where he is greeted by Vivian, who is on the phone with Raymond. Having received the envelope, the man leaves. RMF is a mysterious character, the only connecting thread between the three stories. Architect Robert waits in his car as a blue BMW crashes into him at an intersection. After receiving medical attention, he returns home to his sleeping wife. After reading Aunt Karenina, he falls asleep. In the morning, his wife, Sarah, reports that Raymond sent a rare broken tennis racket to a famous player. At work, Robert destroys a letter with instructions on how to behave the day before, including reading in bed. He gets a call from his boss, Raymond. From the conversation, it is clear that it is the boss who gives instructions on how to behave. Robert apologizes for not going to the hospital after the accident. Raymond insists that the incident be repeated at the same time and place, just to speed it up. Robert doubts, does not want a fatal outcome. The boss gives you time to think. In the evening, Robert visits the head of the house to refuse to kill the stranger in an accident, even if he, according to Raymond, agrees to die. The boss forces him to come in and out several times, but without receiving consent, he fires the subordinate. The next morning, Robert notices that the rocket is missing. He explains to his wife that Raymond took the gift, while simultaneously revealing the fact that his boss is essentially running his life. It was he who brought them together, convincing Robert to meet with Sarah and using the story of the bruise on his arm. The husband also admits to drugging her coffee to induce an abortion, also on Raymond's orders. In the morning, Robert notices that his wife took all her things and left without answering her calls. An architect is trying to get a job at a competitive company, but the boss there, having invited him for an interview, did not show up to the office. Out of grief, Robert goes to the bar, where, having lost the habit of making independent decisions, he cannot even choose a drink without the advice of the bartender. He tries to meet a girl using the bruise story, but he fails. Robert keeps an eye on his boss and guards him in the parking lot. He begs him to forgive him and give him a second chance, but Raymond refuses. It turns out to be a nightmare, but in the morning the man actually asks his boss. As if in a dream, he refuses, driving away his former subordinate. In grief, Robert returns to the bar, where he repeats the date trick, first for emphasis by kicking the wall hard. This is how he meets Rita, who takes him to the hospital. The next day, he is waiting for her with flowers to invite her to dinner. She agrees, but she is not at home at the appointed time and does not answer the call. A distraught Robert receives a message the next morning that Rita has had an accident. While visiting her in the hospital, the man finds RMF on a gurney, as well as Raymond and Vivian leaving Rita's room. Out of the blue, Robert helps her to the bathroom and, while she does her dirty work, takes the keys from her purse. After the visit, he sneaks into Rita's house, where he notices irrefutable evidence of a connection with the racketeer Raymond. After taking the gift, Robert returns to the hospital. He asks the nurse to help him to the bathroom, only to pass out and change into his uniform. Using the nurse's key card, Robert goes to the comatose RMF's room and kidnaps him. After turning the victim over in the parking lot, the man threw him onto the asphalt, then got behind the wheel and drove over the body several times to make sure he killed him. Robert then goes to see Raymond. Vivian opens the door for him, and the guest, sobbing, admits that he completed the task. The three cuddle on the couch, and Raymond remarks to the girl that he always knew Robert wouldn't let him down. He killed a man and retained the favor of the leader who had power over him. This ends the episode. The second segment is called RMF Flight. Officer Daniel gets ready for work. He suffers because of his missing wife, Lise. When the phone rings, there is noise on the receiver. He believes the fox is trying to communicate. The board is concerned about Daniel's condition. His best friend and partner Neil and his wife Martha come to visit him. At dinner, Daniel asks them to watch a video with him. They initially refuse so as not to open the wounds, but agree when the owner sobs. The video turns out to be their collaboration with Winger Orgy. After dinner, Daniel is informed that his wife, who is shipwrecked with her crew, has been found. In the morning, he meets a helicopter piloted by the RMF and accompanies his wife to the hospital. Of the 5 members of the expedition, only she and a certain Jonathan survived. The woman reports that they ate fruit, animals, and fish, but the memory flashes to images of cannibalism. When Fox is discharged, the cat hisses at his owner in rage. She then greedily bites into the chocolate cake, surprising Daniel. My wife doesn't eat chocolate in any form. The strangeness continues until the evening. Her regular shoes don't fit her feet. After dinner, Lee's got an itch between his big toes. She invites the guests to go up to the bedroom and record another video, but they politely refuse. While the ladies clear the table, Daniel shares his paranoid suspicions with Neil. This is not his wife, but some kind of double. Suspicions escalate when the sex-demanding fox beats her husband with her greedy wife. On the evening of celebrating the return of the foxes, Daniel did not share everyone's enthusiasm. Visiting Jonathan in the hospital, he tells his wife that it is not her husband who is lying in the ward, but a double. Suspicious of his wife, Daniel refuses to eat the food she prepares. The wife admits that she is pregnant, but the future father is not particularly happy. When the phone rings and there is interference on the receiver, the man believes that his real wife is on the line. When the phone goes missing, he accuses Fox of hiding it so as not to get to the bottom of the truth. This causes him to have outbursts of anger. After stopping the violators at work, Daniel finds the driver's cell phone, which he recognizes as his own. He then points the gun at the stoned passenger and accidentally shoots him in the arm. Apologizing, Daniel licks his wound, which horrifies his partner. After this incident, the doctor prescribed Daniel antipsychotics to calm him down. Detached, he lies at home, does not eat anything, and does not talk to his wife. She tries to find a common language with him, until one day, for the sake of a test, he asks her to cut off his finger and cook it. Thinking about decency, the woman grabs a knife and cuts off the thumb on her left hand, as if it were no less useful to all five. Then she prepares dinner for her husband, which she serves directly in bed. The next day, Danielle tells the doctor that Liz cut her finger while trying to feed her husband with it, and beat herself up in the morning. He asks the doctor to take his wife to the clinic, but believes that the patient is exaggerating the scale of the tragedy. Liz, who shows signs of beatings, is examined. Doctors diagnose a miscarriage and want to talk about domestic violence. The woman reports that her husband had it, but it was a side effect of the pills. At home, Daniel asks him to cook something more filling than a finger, such as an arm, a leg, or a liver, which he has read are quite nutritious. After some time, the husband found his wife sitting on a chair. There are 2 pools of blood on the floor, one of which contains a severed liver. Before her death, her loving wife removed it with a kitchen knife. There's a knock at the entrance. Daniel opens it. The second Liz is standing in the doorway. He joyfully hugs and kisses her until the first Liz, who fulfilled her husband's most terrible and ridiculous requests in an attempt to preserve his love, falls lifelessly into a chair. This is how the next episode ends. The third segment is called RMF, Sandwich Meal. Emily examines the transgender girl Anna, carefully measuring her parameters. The morgue employee allows the disposal of a fresh corpse, which is transferred to a separate room. There, Emily, Anna, and Andrew, who is joined, conduct an experiment, try to revive a dead man through the laying on of hands. Anna fails even when the observers retreat at her request. The partners report the failure to the authorities of the religious cult and go to a motel. On the way, Emily says she knew this would happen. At night, she dreamed about the whole chasing. She got stuck in the pool and was saved by a girl swimmer. She is their chosen one, but Anna is not like her. In the morning, while her colleague is sleeping, Emily goes to her old building. After waiting for her husband and daughter to leave, she sneaks into her daughter's bedroom to leave a gift and spray her with special sectarian water. After picking up Andrew from the motel, Emily heads to the sex cult headquarters. There they are met by spiritual mentors, Omi and AKA. They are not upset by failure. They are referring to the recent Messiah candidate. In the evening, the passengers take turns having sex with Omi. Andrew enviously hears Emily moan from across the aisle. The next day, they observe a ritual of cleansing from dirt and defilement. One of the newcomers is locked in the sauna so that harmful substances can escape further. When the woman faints from the heat, the men carry her to the altar, where Akka licks the sweat from her belly. After analyzing the taste, the woman makes her verdict. The sect leaders then cried before their own tears flowed into the reservoir. The disciples draw water from there, which they are not ashamed to drink. Before a new business trip, Omi shows Emily the yacht intended for the Messiah. The young lady and her partner then go to check on the next candidate. When they stop at a diner for something to eat, Rebecca comes up and tells them that they are looking for her sister Ruth. Andre introduces himself under a false name in order to get rid of the uninvited interlocutor. But he addresses Emila by name and gives her his business card. After she left, the sectarians discussed the selection criteria. The Messiah is a woman, one of the twins, and the other twin must be dead. Since Rebecca is alive, her sister does not fit the description. Later, while visiting her daughter's bedroom, Emily runs into her and her ex-husband Joseph on the way out. The family invites the prodigal mother to dinner. The partners go to the next candidate and learn that the girl they are looking for has already passed away. At the hotel, Andre fell ill and then developed a fever. Emily goes to the pharmacy to get some medicine. On the way, she meets her husband, who again invites her to dinner. Having pumped his partner full of pills, the man, as soon as he falls asleep, rushes to visit his daughter. She is already asleep, and her husband, out of old memory, offers to give her a ride. While pouring cocktails, he drugs Emily with sleeping pills. When she passes out after vomiting on the floor, Joseph routinely performs his marital duty. Waking up in a negligee, Emily runs to wash herself in a panic. She quietly sneaks out of the house, but the sect leaders are already waiting for her outside, offended that she violated the ban on sex with someone other than them. The girl was taken to the headquarters, where she was asked to undergo a cleansing procedure and sweat in the sauna until she lost consciousness. After the ritual, AKA tries it, but decides that Emily is infected with sewage. She was expelled from the sect for the fence. Despite all the sobs, they paid a small amount for intimate services. Not knowing what to do, the young woman returns to the city, where Rebecca runs into her again. A new friend tells how, when she was little and left without parents, she and her sister threw a party. In the process, drunken Rebecca jumped into the pike pool, forgetting that there was no water there. He remembered hitting his head and bleeding, but waking up in the house without the slightest sign of bruises. Rebecca attributes the miraculous healing to Sister Ruth and believes herself to be the Messiah. But there's one problem. The true chosen one must have a deceased twin. After picking up a stray dog on the street and cutting off its paw for authenticity, Emily visits Ruth, who works as a veterinarian. After treating the dog's wound, Ruth releases the visitors. In the motel room, Emily takes off the bandage and notices that the wound has healed, not even a scar. After chasing the dog away, she notices her husband and daughter near the motel who want to take her home. Instead of a happy reunion, Emily turns her daughter against her father, calling him infected and evil. In the morning, she will receive a call from Rebecca, who has figured out how to solve the problem of a living twin. After visiting, Emily sees the owner, dressed only in a bathing suit, repeating the teenage feat of running and diving into an empty pool. Going downstairs, the former cultist is convinced that the twin is dead. Now about the little things. Ruth test. Emily goes to the clinic, ostensibly to thank the doctor. At the same time, she injects her with a sedative and then measures her physical characteristics. The final and most important test takes place again in the morgue, where a bribed pathologist isolates RMF's corpse. Ruth had not yet moved away from the trunks, but still the hand laid on the deceased had an invigorating effect. He takes a sitting position, surprised by what is happening. A jubilant Emily does a victory dance in the parking lot, then loads Ruth into the back seat and races back to the cult. Along the way, the Messiah comes to his senses, causing the driver to become distracted. This leads to a logical result. Emily, narrowly missing an oncoming car, crashes into a fence. Momentum does the damn thing. Without a seatbelt, Ruth flies through the windshield and dies, ending the brainwashed kidnapper's dreams of returning to the sex cult. This is almost the end of the third segment. In the post-credit scene, the revived RMF, corresponding to the title of the novella, eats a sandwich. When he drips ketchup onto his shirt, the waitress gives him a napkin to wipe up the stain. And the film ends on this good note.